Be me. Fall asleep in comfy suburban home. Get kicked awake. I'm in a hastily prepared fighting shelter in a mostly abandoned urban, industrial zone. Blink my dreary eyes awake, it's a big-ass tunnel, big-ass tunnel. I realize there used to be shops and restaurants here, before shit went sideways. I have a small hammock-like cot rigged together from locally available supplies. It's comfier than most of the sleeping provisions I see around. God, I love these people. Every single one of them has shown themselves to be competent, smart, trustworthy, respectable, dependable, and just generally excellent people. I feel like I'm the slowest, most dim-witted, most uninteresting, least fit among them. Why do they look on me so favorably? Musings cut short, someone tosses me a rifle and a messenger bag full of mags. Woman in We Got Era USMC gear tells me the patrols are coming, we can leave or fuck with them and then leave. I'm so tired. I'm afraid. We've been doing pretty hot lately. I tell her my decision is to ambush and then leave. Before I finish my coffee, I'm in the middle of 100 people, all geared up, all bound and determined. Forward element makes contact. I begin listing off fire teams and positions they should be in. I know it's about to get real hot. Why do they follow me? I barely have a clue what I'm doing. The ambush is successful, and over fast. A platoon of jackboots hosed down with rounds before most of them can even hit the deck. Hiding in the detritus, we were close enough to see the rye colors when our L-shaped positions opened up. Everyone wordlessly moves back, everyone accounted for. Only a couple of the enemies managed to get any rounds off, none of ours hit except for one grazing boo-boo. Pity them, they know not what they do. We head back. We have the whole camp broken down inside of an hour. It's routine at this point, but everyone knows exactly what they need to do, and just does it. We're in full ruck. We leave the giant tunnel. The surface is an industrial area that's been bombed or shelled to shit. We're all so fucking tired of this bullshit war. Suddenly it clicks in my mind. The major political parties reached their logical conclusion, turned into Nazis versus commies. Most just want to live free. The Nazis and commies set up their own political blocs. The US was in a state of civil war, with the majority of the civilian population rebelling against both. I lead one such company, for some fucking reason. A couple miles up, passing through dilapidated buildings and structures, the commies set up a checkpoint and a terrain choke point. We have to fight through. My troops are fucking good. All I have to do is state the general idea and the timetable I'd like to do it in, and they figure out the rest. Every element knows their exact job and how best to get it done. We set up. The checkpoint erupts from a remote control vide. What's left is drowned in MG fire. What's left after that is peppered with rifle fire. What's still moving stops moving after a couple of improvised grenades. Scout the structures. They were holding civvy prisoners, set them free. Find an intel brief detailing a Nazi HVT just north of the new border, somewhere by what used to be New Jersey. We spend weeks moving, scouting, blending in and doing recon. HVT spotted. One of their major political leaders, one of the ones who started this whole decade-long shitfest. It's time. More prep. I spend time with everyone, we camp, we sing, we dance, we generally have fun. We share our pre-war stories. I'm so far from my home state, it doesn't even exist as a political border anymore. But freedom only dies if everyone allows it to. We don't. It's go time. The dream takes actual months worth of memories, of learning names, of getting into minor skirmishes with my compatriots. We always win. Eventually we leave commie territory, and enter the Nazi territory. Weeks more of moving, staying hidden when we have to, but we're the only souls around for a while. Eventually we get where we need to be. The HVT is giving a big speech before a move to claim new territory. We've spent days slow crawling with heavy packs to get into positions. What used to be a suburban shopping center is now being used as a forward base. There's hellos parked, trucks, a ton of repurposed commercial civvy vehicles. This is going to fucking suck, but we have to do it. I pick a team of about 30, the rest on standby in case shit hits the fan. There's a giant industrial tunnel network here, 2. That's what we use to get in. No point in trying to do it quiet. The Nazis question and harass every citizen they see to demand ID and paperwork every time they see one. The 30 of us find what used to be a sewer canal and use that to infill into the shopping center. We're able to infill on the inside of their security perimeter. We do our thing, slow crawl to our predetermined positions, with multiple, clear lines of fire, setting up in abandoned buildings or making hidey holes out of the plentifully available scrap. Wait for 2 days. HVT walks up in front of the conscripted troops assembled. As soon as he takes the podium, his head, shoulders, both sides of his torso explode from the near simultaneous impact of a dozen rounds. The closest shooter is a few hundred meters out. We fucking book it, hear gunfire and explosions. Make it back to the sewer. The other half of the team didn't make it. Fuck, I loved them. I loved her. No time, we have to move. Book it back to the tunnel ASAP, the rest of the company is antsy. A Nazi patrol came around and got smoked, but we lost a few in the exchange. We boogie. Ground-penetrating bomb lands a few hundred meters behind us, about where we were a few minutes ago. There's a hole the Nazis used to get inside. We are now in a fighting retreat. We move as fast as we can, shoot when we can. We cannot let ourselves get pinned. Keep this up for hours. Run out of smokes. Run out of grenades. Ammo is dwindled. I've lost another handful along the way. But no one knows the tunnels like we do. We live here. Eventually, finally, break contact. I've lost almost half of my force. Everyone left thinks it was a worthy endeavor. I don't. Weeks later we make it back to home, mostly in silence, in what's called the neutral zone, a band of territory that neither side has been able to conquer yet. Everyone seems to be celebrating. Open partying in the streets. We find out that the father of the man we killed was so distraught over losing his son he snapped. Live streamed a confession that both parties created the entire fucking conflict as a means to control people, live stream and erode. Mass outrage, the citizens lose their minds, the situation is impossible to contain for both sides of the conflict. What we did was the beginning of the end of the fucking nightmare. I'd been hit half a dozen times on the way out, finally feeling convalescent. It doesn't feel like a victory. Go to sleep. Wake up in my comfy suburban home in a cold sweat. Realize all of those people I cherished, gone. I knew their names. I knew their faces. I met some of their families. Never happened. All the losses, all the pain, all the processing of grief, the hard choices, the victories, all of it was dreamland. I'm mopey and kind of agitated for a week. It felt like I lived every single day of 6 months of nightmare dystopian hell in one night, and I worry that's our future if we don't stop voting in shitbags. I do have Liberian troop stories from my time in the US Army. They came over to train. Be me. Newly promoted E6 in a USSF group, support dude, not a Green Beret. Go to exercise at Buttfuck National Guard Base in Middle America. This state's NG was doing a big exercise and they wanted some SF guys and cool foreign people to show up to make the exercise exciting. There are a couple different foreign contingents. Liberian Army unit is the clear problem child. 16 men led by Major P and Captain E. Major P is very fat, basically a commissar. Captain E went to Ranger School, is only actual competent Liberian. Major P just makes Captain E do all the work. Oda is teaching Liberians battle drills. Captain E sticks back with the Oda to observe offer critique alongside trainers. Battle drill 1A/2A. One Liberian element gets online, second element goes around. Major P does not join them because he doesn't get dirty. Second element does not flank, they instead form a mirroring line 200 meters away behind the objective. They start screaming in gibberish war chants, and bum rush the center. Absolutely no bounding or discipline. First element also starts screaming, and bum rushes the center. Both sides firing blanks as they ran towards each other, attempting to swarm the notional enemy. Major P looks proud, thinking this is a highly successful assault. Captain E is horrified and embarrassed. 18B is too stunned to say anything. Me. In the Navy. Bought my first PVS-14 at the end of my last deployment. Still go to sea all the time because of post-deployment sustainment phase. Have 3 to 6 watch rotation. Morning routine is to go topside for an hour even though I'm not supposed to, because if you fall over the side you're done for and all the topside lights are always off. But I have nods so I'm okay. Standing amidships watching a meteor shower one night. Don't wander too far hour because the bridge watch sensors have PVS-14S2. While looking at the sky I hear something. Some dude has his head stuck around the light curtain that splits amidships off from the smoke pit. He's looking around to make sure no one's there. I'm standing 5 feet in front of him in the middle of the deck and he can't see me even though he keeps scanning right where I'm standing. Lol. Eventually he comes out and walks in my direction with his hand on the lifelines for guidance, stability. Dude whips his cock out and starts pissing over the side. Keeps checking over his shoulder to make sure no one is walking up to him. I'm close enough I can put my hand out and touch him and he keeps looking directly at me. Not really sure what to do because if I spook him he might freak out and fall over the side. Just kinda stand there until he finishes, zips up and heads back to smoke some more. Nods are cool. Me. Be unfortunate NJ gun owner in 2011. Be poor as balls high school senior. At least I can afford get into SERP. Go to a shop in the hilly part of the state where all of the vets live. Owner is cool and stays open an extra 30 minutes while I shop. I got about 50 Mosings in the back. Looking for anything in particular? A pre-war one would be nice. Here's a 1937 tool and hex receiver. $105 on the nose after tax. Do paperwork, nix faggotry, pay, leave. Bolt absolutely will not close on a casing or live round, at all, for whatever reason. Bring gun back to shop next day. Show him what's wrong. Good guy owner heads to the back and reveals a brand new Mosin bolt head out of a parts box. Installs it, checks headspace, and throws the old one directly into the trash can across the shop. What do I owe you, sir? Just a photo from your first day at the range with it next time you drop by for a spam can of ammo. I'll call you when I get 'em back in stock. Go have fun, kid. I still have the receipt from that Mosin in my sock drawer. I want to go back. Me. Disembodied spectator camera floating in 3-dimensional space. See a man sitting on a bench in a vast armory full of assorted firearms of different makes and models. He's grabbing random guns off the racks and stripping them to try and study the mechanisms and figure out how they work. The first gun he grabs is a Lewis gun. He strips it, seems disinterested, puts it back together and sticks it back on the rack. He grabs an field goal 42 off the rack. He tears it down to individual components. Once he has it laid out on the floor as parts he notices something, frowns, and reassembles the gun. Somewhere in the process it became a Lewis gun. He glares at the gun, shoves it back on the rack and grabs another at random. It's the RM277 from the XM7 trials. Dude's not even done field stripping it and he finds himself holding the cog, spring assembly on the bottom of the Lewis gun. Clearly frustrated he throws it back together and practically slams it back on the rack. Grabs an M60, and opens the top cover. He is now holding the pen mag instead of the top cover. He hucks the gun away like it insulted his mother and screams they're all fucking Lewis guns. I wake up, have a good chuckle about it, and go to work. Anyone have any /K/ related dreams? Have reoccurring dream where I am in a self-defense scenario. They are always different, but the one reoccurring element is that for some reason my gun fucks up, won't cycle, the trigger feels like it is 2 tons to pull and just won't let me fire a round, etc. Me last night. Dream I am being confronted by my ex-girlfriend's dad for some reason. He pulls out a gun and starts firing at me. Duck behind the car and pull out my carry gun and try to return fire. The trigger feels like it is impossible to pull. Have to use both hands just to pull the trigger. All the while he is steadily firing upon me and going through mags. Eventually manage to squeeze off the round. Immediately stovepipes, and I have to tap and rack. Double feeds and I have to dump the mag and rack several times and insert a fresh mag. Whole dream follows this pattern until I am eventually hit by gunfire and wake up in a panic. This shit is so insanely stressful. I always wake up with my heart beating out of my chest and sweating my ass off. Last time I ever bought a gun from a gun show turned out to be junk. Believe me. Go to a gun show. Find a boomer selling a couple rifles and shotguns. Handle a Model 11 and after asking some questions decide to buy it for $275 off. The guy randomly drops the price as I'm handing the money. Think he being nice and leave. Go to gun range and try it out. Works fine despite the super light trigger and accidental bump fires. Take it apart home and find the bolt cracked. Cry. Been stuck with it since and I have no clue what to do with it since Model 11 bolts are expensive and I just don't really care for it anymore. Believe me. Grow up watching spy movies. Dream of being a secret agent, doing badass stuff while serving my country. Set my sights on joining the CIA. Study hard with my goal in mind. Eventually get into an elite university. Social life is kill but manage to graduate with straight A's. Finally apply to the agency. Pass all interviews with flying colors. Finish training at the top of my class. Shift is 12 straight hours of pondering the orb, lunch breaks don't count.